Links out. Links out, and away we go. Good evening, Jason and Gary.
Good evening, he says through his gravelly throat.
Yeah, have we got Jason? Have we got Barry White this week?
Yes, back after missing as many weeks as goals Jamie Vardy scored for England. So far,
and that a silent response from me and Gary. Then, what are we talking about? Is that some kind of football thing, or?
Yeah.
Yes,
wonderful Leicester striker playing for England.
It's funny how you never mentioned. How many years have you been on this show and you never mentioned Leicester? And then the last recently, you started to get a bit more talk.
That's funny. That's exactly what I say at work. See, I mean, in my defence, yes, I've always said I support Leicester, but yes, it's amazing how much more vocal we all are at the moment.
Yeah, suddenly you are.
Yes.
Well, I can't remember what excuse we made for you last week. You were getting your new iPhone SE last week, and
yes,
iOS 9.3, and I can't remember the week before.
Yeah, it's I miss recording, so it's good to be back. I shall do my best not to mute my mic if I'm going to cough.
Oh, that's no problem. I'm fast on the edit anyway. So, well, it's been Easter, hasn't it? So there's not been a huge amount of news, but there has been new builds. We've got details of a new Skype coming to Windows. There's rumours of new live tiles coming in the builds this week, and we've got new moving TV app and a closure of something Lumia Voices, which we're going to talk about as well. Which I didn't. Jason, you can make your joke later if you want.
Yeah, it's bizarre that, because I mean, I guess with the Lumia brand going away, it kind of makes sense. But I had what was it? Yeah, I had an email from but instead of being Lumia Voices branded, it was Microsoft branded, asking me if I was interested in trialing any other devices.
Maybe they're rolling into another.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So there was two things. I got a brief 5-minute feedback survey on how the trials, what my experience was, and then I got another email again asking if I wanted to trial a different device. So, but yeah, this is all Microsoft branded, whereas before it's always been kind of Lumia Voices.
Yeah. So for anybody who doesn't know, Lumia Voices is what today Microsoft have sent the email around saying that, look, Lumia Voices is closed, but this is a sort of PR marketing service that's been going back when it was Nokia's, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean it goes back way back, because I was trying to think today. I know I had a Lumia 800 on trial, and I was trying to remember if I had a Lumia 900. I couldn't remember, but yeah, it's certainly it's been going a long time, and obviously been very vocal with their support of the community, and and obviously they run quite a few help accounts on Twitter who were always really responsive, and those slowly been wrapped up more and more into the Microsoft brand. But yeah,
Gary, have you had experience with Lumia Voices? Have we lost Gary?
Yeah, it's been very quiet.
Yeah.
Am I still with you?
Yes, you are still with us.
Oh, I don't know what's going on there. Suddenly it flashed up on my screen saying Skype is having problems.
Oh.
I clicked to close, and suddenly you were live.
Yeah. So I was just saying, look, talking about Lumia Voices closing, did you have any experience with them?
Not really, no. I did for you guys. I'm obviously I did a couple of events through Lumia Voices, but I knew a lot of people dealt with them. They were very vocal in the community. They're very useful to get phones out to people who might not have ever tried phones otherwise. I do wonder if we're going to have a Surface Voices or something similar. You just feel like the Lumia branding may be going away.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard, Gary, but I was saying actually, check the dates, actually, just 17th of March, I got 2 emails from Microsoft branded, one asking me for feedback on the on the trialing of devices. Doesn't mention Lumia Voices, but just trial devices, and then a follow-up asking if I was interested in trialing any others. But they're all kind of Microsoft Lumia branded, but more Microsoft branded than it used to be. Kind of like there was no Lumia Voices branding.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so it could be that the thing will all be rolled into something else. But I think the great thing about Lumia Voices was that they reached out to people and offered devices. and these short 2-week trials, which I've reviewed a few devices that way, and I think it was a good way of getting devices into people's hands that wouldn't normally get hold of them, and especially considering
they did quite a good job of marketing. Although some people might argue that, considering the market share of Lumia, but in the UK and Europe, they were very, very, very active, and I think they did do a good job.
Yeah, it does seem a shame that service is going away, and I hope it is replaced by something else, and not just left.
It would make sense to bring it into the greater Microsoft marketing sphere. Only thing is, the greater Microsoft marketing sphere has never done particularly well in the consumer field. So let's hope they do better.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. So anyway, thanks to all the people at Lumia Voices. They were, I found very helpful.
Yes, yeah, no, they were, and they were. I've always felt like they were run by a team of enthusiasts that really wanted the platform to succeed. So,
yes, I always found them very helpful. So if it gets replaced by something else, we'll let you know. Yeah. So we have got new builds to talk about since last week. So this is a bit of one that sneaked out on Friday, being it was a holiday in the UK, but still, I don't think it is in the US, so it got released on Friday. So we had a phone and a PC build.
Yes, they've been keeping themselves very busy, haven't they?
So this is 14295, but unlike the previous release, this doesn't really contain any new features. I don't think you've been on, Jason, since the 14291 was released.
No, I haven't. No.
So that had the map changes and quite a few at the edge extension. So this one doesn't have anything like that. It's just fixes and known issues. Let me get my.
Yeah, it seemed to be much more of a kind of a stability release.
Yeah.
Obviously with the edge extensions, which came with 14291. So yeah, judging by the Gabe's post and also looking at the release notes, it certainly seemed like it was almost like a service release to 14291, probably potentially either trying to get a more stable build into people's hands ahead of the build conference this week, or ahead whether or not we'll get another big build with more features after the build announcements this week. We're yet to see.
Yes, we'll talk about that in a moment. So just some of the things that were fixed in this one. They fixed the problem with the Xbox One controller; it would crash. They fixed the issue with Edge where when you press the tab, when your cap locks feel run in a fixed the issue where the Microsoft Edge would refresh the tab if you press cap locks in the password field. So
yes, interesting, Greg. Yeah.
So and they fixed the Kaspersky antivirus issue, which has been around for ages as well.
Yeah, and also a big one was the you can now do a system reset without risk of I think that was on the mobile build, wasn't it?
The backups now work. They restore properly anyway. Backup the app states backup correctly. And they fixed a number of issues, but there are quite a lot of known issues. Still issues with Hyper-V and the networking stack. So this is obviously a very complex area, but issues with Narrator and the TPM chips on the Acer ZenBook. I think you've got to end a task if you've got that issue, and I'll include links in the show notes anyway. So
yeah. The Hyper-V one's actually just a cosmetic. It shows that the network card's not working, but actually it's functioning.
And funny enough, I've seen that on Core 8 as well, where it's got a little red cross on it as though the network card's not working. And I had nothing to do with Hyper-V. It's a Atom tablet, but it is working. But I've seen that red cross there, so there's obviously something in the networking that's. I think it's to do with startup. I seem to remember that being an older bug. When it detects the network. Interestingly, with this release, and I don't know if this happened to anybody else, but my Encore 8, which is a normal test machine, wouldn't pick up the new build. So it already had 14291 on there, and it just never saw that there was a new build available. My Link 7 picked it up no problem, but the Encore 8 wouldn't. So I did the hands-on video with the Link 7, and I checked registry settings and left the fast ring, went to slow ring, went back to fast ring, and left in program, started the program, did all that reboots and everything. Nothing would fix it. So in the end, I did a rollback to the previous release. So it went back onto 1427 something, I think it was 71, something like that. And then I did a reboot and checked for updates, and then it saw 14295 and downloaded that. So it's all up and running now. Also, what it did fix as well on the mobile side, this is on last week, Gary, I think we talked about this, where, when I said the GPS turn by turn wasn't working.
Oh, yes, yeah.
I don't know if you've seen this, Jason, but on my 950 XL, if I use turn by turn navigation, it would show me about a quarter of a mile to the left of where I actually am.
Oh, right. No, I haven't seen that.
And it got really confused. But the actual GPS, if you actually put it into map mode, it would get a spot on location. And I found that if you actually rotated the phone and then rotated it back again, it was fine. So it was obviously some kind of display issue with coordinate X, Y coordinates. Anyway, this build last week fixed that. Well, actually, I think it was an update to the map app, not the build as such. I think there was an update to the maps on Monday, wasn't there? Last week, on Monday, Tuesday last week, and that fixed that as well. So
the one thing they did fix on mobile, which is very good that they have fixed it, is that you can actually now successfully reset and restore from backup.
Yeah, I think that's pretty important considering.
Yeah, just slightly, yeah.
Yeah,
but I must admit, I've been hearing a lot of people having issues with battery life since 4291. And a couple of people I've spoken to have said that this even got worse with 4295. We seem to be sort of going backwards.
My anecdotal experience would be 4295 is slightly less than 4291 for some reason. I don't know why. It's not as quite. It's still running cool, but I would say now it's my thing's at 47%, and I don't know. It's probably about normal, I guess. But I usually expect it more like 60% at this time of day. So.
Yeah, it does. It does make you wonder what's going on under the skin in the latest builds.
Yeah,
what they're actually getting ready for, because obviously they haven't made that. I mean, we've had the Edge browser plugins, but they haven't had those on mobile. We haven't really had many new features.
No, we've had very little on mobile, especially on mobile. I mean, like I said, we've got the Edge extension things.
But we seem to have introduced some fairly major bugs.
Yeah, and that relates back to that 4291 and 4295 are now available to older devices as well.
Yeah.
So they've rolled these builds out to more devices, and
if you're on the fast ring, of course. So this is definitely a fast ring thing. So, but yeah, I mean, it does seem that there must be some fairly fundamental changes to the one core going on under the skin, and maybe bringing it in line and getting ready for something new. And there's sort of a few rumours doing the rounds about what those something news might be. But it does at the moment. There's a lot of pain for very little gain for anybody going on those builds.
Yeah, and I did find that at some point the Redstone builds seemed to be a lot more stable and better battery life than I was when I was on the Threshold 2 on the 950. And then, like I said, this last couple have seemed to have gone a little backwards, although not too bad. Although this has rebooted itself, my 950, perhaps not every day, but maybe yesterday I think I saw it do it twice where it just rebooted itself.
Yeah, I've the one issue I've got with my 930 is that the Bluetooth stack just keeps crashing. So I'll kind of switch off my car and get out, and then later in the day I'll notice that it still thinks I'm connected to Bluetooth, and if I try and make a call, it's even got the Bluetooth button switched on. Then you just can't even get it to go into airplane mode. It just the only thing I can do is switch off the phone and back on again, which can be quite frustrating. I've actually seen it crash while I was driving along. I actually saw the Bluetooth on my car actually detect that the phone had disconnected, but the phone still thought it was connected. So definitely something going on somewhere. And
I think I had that a while ago, and it hasn't happened as often since I've been on these Redstone builds. So but I have seen that exact thing where you said where it thinks Bluetooth's connected and it isn't. And so what I would do is normally just knock the Bluetooth off and back on again, and it just won't do it. And you have to, like you said, restart the phone, and then Bluetooth is off, and then you've got to turn it back on again.
Yeah.
But it's a bit less frequent. So are you on the Redstone ones, or are you?
No, I'm just on the Threshold 2 release.
I think these Redstones, the Bluetooth is better.
Well, they have changed the stack on the.
They have, haven't they? Yeah, on the last build,
which hopefully will improve things once they settle down. I mean, as I said, it does seem like there's a lot of pain for a little gain, but those sort of things maybe are decent gain. I mean, I've certainly heard a lot of people say the Bluetooth's working a lot better on some vehicles, worse on others, which is always going to be the way.
And you can take a look at my hands-on videos with those 2 builds. They're shorter videos than, say, the previous one because there aren't any new features in there. But we may get a new build this week with more features. So we've been hearing some interesting rumours. What you've been hearing about the new builds that we might get this week.
So there's a couple of things sort of doing the rounds. There's one about the idea of a sort of a handoff feature. So you can start editing a document on your desktop and go to your phone, and Cortana will say, well, you can carry on editing this document if you like on your phone, which will make really good use of Continuum. Obviously, the Mac got there first, and if they do bring that feature out, we're going to have a lot of Apple fanboys saying, well, we did it first. But it would be a good idea. Also hearing that some of the UI might change. We've got a card-like UI for the Action Center and Cortana. It does look a bit material design-like from what I can see. So the Google fanboys will be saying, we got there first. I don't like Microsoft being a follower. I like it when they set trends, but there we go.
Yeah. I mean,
So you say that my son was, I think they were watching the Apple advert on the telly with the moving pictures.
Yeah.
And they both like, oh, that's amazing. And I said, I've had that for years. I went, no, you haven't. I went, yes, I have. I was like to get my phone out and show them. So yeah, they were like, oh, really? Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? How when Apple does something, it's
yes, yeah.
And that's perhaps an issue with Microsoft marketing.
Yeah,
exactly.
But, the idea of being able to go from start a document on one device and go to another, I think it will be really good if we see that. And Cortana is the ideal mechanism for doing all that together because the UI is there, and it makes sense for Cortana to be the thing that prompts you for these things. I think that's a good idea, especially I guess with OneDrive. I mean, currently if I want to go from one device to another, I save them in folders in OneDrive and then go across to OneDrive on the other device and open it up and so on. So it'd be great if Cortana could sort of help you do all that.
Now, the other thing, which I think we are going to see, because it's in the build listings for some of the sessions, is that there's a listing for live tile improvements.
Right.
And a lot of people are thinking that means interactive live tiles. And there's a great one which is titled "Something Awesome."
Yes, I saw that. Yeah, it better be with a tile like that. It better be awesome.
Yeah, but there's been a lot of discussion by people I know within Microsoft that they are working on stuff which is mind blowing, and for people who wouldn't normally be that evocative about things. So I think, yeah, it could be interesting.
So I mean, of course, this show will go out Thursday morning just after the keynote, and we record Tuesday evening just before. So, so listening will have the benefit of
they'll be able to tell us what something awesome is.
Yes, that's right. But
phone into the show and tell us what something awesome is if you listen to it recorded.
and next week we'll talk about those awesome things as well. Interactive live tiles sounds quite good. So this is going to be where when you click on Start or your tablet and you've got your live tiles, you can then interact directly with them.
Yeah, and I'm not quite sure how that will work, because obviously live tiles are a portal to get into an app. So having something which does something, it might be an issue. But you can already do it to some extent. You can have, because apps can have more than one live tile. Some of the home automation systems have done this, so they actually have switches which are a live tile. So you can then click on them and actually switch the switch, but it actually goes into the app and triggers the app. And this might be a direct way of doing something like that. It's just interesting. It'll be interesting to see how they do the interface, because obviously we're so used to tapping on an app, a live tile to actually open that app. Yeah,
any action that you do on it, if it's not, tapping is the way to launch it. But I can imagine maybe with, I don't know, the weather thing where you can scroll left and right if you gesture it or something like that.
Gestures of some sort would make some sense. And maybe separate controls on the live tiles. If you have the large live tiles, you could actually maybe have a drag bar or something, or buttons actually on there. On there, you could see that potentially.
Yeah, maybe. And then you mentioned other thing. You mentioned the cards in Action Center. So this would be a bit like the up the cards that are in Cortana, which it's kind of got cards already, isn't it?
Yeah, but they're talking about sort of taking that a step further and making that far more useful things. Because people, I mean, particularly on mobile, where it's not particularly brilliant at the moment, they're talking about making that for taking the cards beyond. And I do think it will be very Google Now like, from what I can understand. So, which is not a bad thing, because that is actually one of the more useful aspects of that, and it is certainly something that Cortana should be doing.
Yeah. Actually, I saw something in Cortana, and I don't know when this started, but it doesn't seem to be build related because it's on all my devices. If I in an email, I think I thought, "Oh, remind me." I said to comment, "So remind me to look at this next week or something," and it showed up in Cortana.
Right.
And I don't know when that started, but I've seen it on my Surface, which is running the Threshold 2, and I've seen it on my 950 XL, which is Redstone. So I don't know when this feature started, but it's definitely reading my emails and prompting me for emails where I've put remind in there, and it's then created a little card for me in Cortana, which, yeah, I was quite impressed with, but I just don't know when that was introduced, but I must have missed that one, that announcement.
Though some people I know would see that as a terrible invasion of privacy, so reading my emails.
Yeah, I don't mind. It's fine with me.
Yeah, it's fine with me as well, but I think that it is one of these things which we'll have to look at. Actually, I've just realised where Jace was last week.
Oh, yes?
He was educating Tay.
I'm not sure I'd say that.
Now, so you better explain the background on this.
So last week, well, just before last week, Microsoft introduced a thing called TayNU on Twitter, which is basically an example of an AI, and it was supposed to be based on a teenager to early 20-year-old, and how they interacted and would learn from the interaction with their compatriots. And I think it was a glowing success because it turned out to be racist and offensive within a few hours, which actually proved it was doing exactly what it was designed to do. I know it was probably a PR disaster for Microsoft, but it's actually probably one of the more successful introductions of AI ever.
Yeah.
In terms of how it worked. I mean, it was actually holding meaningful conversations with the people around it, and issuing opinions which were based on its collective body. And it really, and someone actually tweeted out this, and I think this is very true. It's probably going to be a laboratory or scientific example of how people get radicalized online, and and a good study for that.
And a warning for future generations building AI to prepare for the internet.
Yes, and the robots will kill us all in the future if we don't be careful.
It was a very interesting experiment, and I think despite the fact that they had to shut it down and apologise, I think it was actually very successful because it got some good conversations going, which about AI and things like that. And I think it highlighted the dangers of exposing something like that to society, that you get the internet bot you deserve to misquote somebody.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to shut those pod doors, do you, Dave?
Yeah. I mean, I tried it in the morning, and it was quite pleasant. I think, I can't find it, but I think the Microsoft's idea was that it emulated a 18 to 24-year-old, wasn't it? I think
it was, yeah.
And you could DM it, or you could just reply, talk to it over normal conversation. And I think I've got some of the things on here, and I think it's quite clever, really. I mean, it said something about a selfie, so I said, "What's a selfie?" And it put me a picture back of Macaulay Culkin with his hands up, and said, "What is a selfie?" And then it was chatting. It was actually it was conversational anyway. You could actually, I mean, it wasn't fooling you, but it was fairly pleasant and it wasn't too off topic. But then, like you said, by the end of the day, they had to take it down because it was turned to racist. But it just learnt these things from the people that have been talking to, and it's a good warning of of what you what you've got to be careful of when you're on the internet. And I suppose in some respects it highlights what happens when you let your children go on the internet.
Indeed, exactly. I mean, you can consider that. Okay, it wasn't 100% accurate as that age group, but it was very much the response that we see amongst those age groups. Young adults going into those social communities for the first time without any backup of morality. It's a difficult. It's a very interesting line, and I know Microsoft apologised about it, but I actually don't think they should have done. I think they should have raised this. This is a very serious topic.
I mean, there's two separate issues: there's the technical side of it, which for learning and then communicating the things that it's picked up as through the conversations, which I think it was obviously very successful at. And then there's the social comment of society, and that's something that's like you said, probably studied for a long time. It'll be interesting to see if Tay makes a return, or whether they take that data and what they do with that data, because it is an interesting study.
It is, and the whole point of this AI is for future things like Cortana, that we actually build a more conversational version of Cortana.
So when your PC starts abusing you, you can blame the internet. So did you try it, Jason?
I didn't. I must admit, I muted it pretty quickly because my timer was just flooded with it. But I mean, I think some of it did come from the fact that you could ask it to repeat stuff, couldn't you?
Yes.
So some of the stuff was kind of generated through that, but it is interesting. I mean, the rise of the machines, Terminator, and all that. It just showed what we could teach them.
Yeah, I mean, the repeat stuff is I can understand. You can see they put that command in there. Microsoft put that command in there, so people obviously abuse it that way. And reminds me of going back to when I had the first speech synthesizer on the Spectrum. Of course, you made it say rude words. That was the very first thing you did as a teenager.
Yes.
But the difference being this, the speech synthesizer on the ZX Spectrum didn't learn these patterns, whereas this Tay has. But an interesting development. I'd love to see Microsoft bring it back with perhaps some kind of conscience, artificial conscience, and to chastise the people that are abusing it. But I guess they're going to be very careful about how the standards that they set themselves for AI sort of on automation. That it technically, is it the voice of Microsoft? People think it's a Microsoft product, so is it like you would treat it the same way you treat an employee?
Yeah, I think I mean it just goes to show really how difficult it is to get AI right. And it when you think that AI is the thing that's going to be driving our driverless cars, and could it learn to be a careless, inconsiderate driver? It's it does make you think.
A few laps around the M60 around Manchester, I think it's going to be trying to run people off the road.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. It's an interesting thing. So that was the other thing that Microsoft announced last week that was coming. Now, something back more to our area is remember Skype? We used to have a Windows 8.1, the modern Skype.
Yes, and we all lamented its demise.
Yes, well, it's coming back, isn't it?
It is, yes. And I'm really pleased. Definitely. I mean, I just find it really odd having all these two different applications, and particularly at work where we're not allowed to activate webcams and stuff. I can't set up the video app because as soon as you open it, it turns on the webcam, and even it just sits there with it running. So I'm definitely pleased to see that coming back. And like I said, I just think it kind of makes more sense. It just seems odd having two apps open on your machine for when like now we're recording. You've called. Conversation starts up with the three of us, and then suddenly another app starts up with the actual call in it. Yeah.
So for anybody that's not seen this, I'll include a link in the show notes because I did include a screenshot with this, and we might see it actually this week at Build. But it's a universal store Windows app for of Skype. So where in Windows 10 the functionality was broken out into the messaging, phone, and video apps. Those three apps. There's a new single app coming that's very much like the Skype desktop app, and that's the one we're using now to do the call on. and it's the all-in-one app, which I think it's going to have most of the features of the current Win32 app has, isn't it? And eventually, I guess that the Win32 app would go away eventually to replace by this single universal app, which will be on the phone and the desktop.
Yeah.
But the one thing that is slightly strange. I mean, Microsoft say they're doing this because of feedback, which they have a lot of feedback say they should bring it back. But when you come on the phone, you use the messaging app, don't you? So if I want to send you a message, I can send it through the messaging app, and I can choose whether to deliver it over Skype or over the phone network. But so I wonder how that's going to integrate then with the universal app.
Yeah, that's thought. Yeah, it's going to be interesting, I think, because they are talking about this will come to the phone, aren't they? So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very odd. I'm not quite sure. I mean, if you think about it, when the 8.1 app did kind of integrate, so yeah, it's very odd.
I wonder if they'll retain the 3 separate apps as well. I don't, or the 3 separate apps that we've got now, which I've got here. You know, the messaging, phone, and video app on here. Whether they'll disappear completely, just replaced by this single app altogether. So actually, we'll get rid of the 3 apps of that, the one Win32 app, and end up with the king of them all, the universal app. Just seem, but I can see why they've done it. You know, they've really got a lot of feedback about this, and it's good that they listen to feedback, I guess, and that they're not just pursuing their goal regardless of what users say.
yeah.
We never know. We might get. So I think they said in a future build. So possibly to get that in the build this week. Did you notice that? There was. I think I tweeted this picture out as well. That the start, but the taskbar at the bottom had some new icons in there on the screenshots that they released.
No, I hadn't seen that.
So if you look at the picture, I'll include it in the show notes. There's a file explorer icon that's a flat outline version of it rather than the 3D colored version, or the brown or the beige and blue folder icon. It's just a black outline one. So I thought, oh, look at this. It's got a different task switcher because the task switch is different. But then someone did say, well, it's probably just a mock-up. And it's a standard template they have in Publisher. So don't worry, it's not going to be all the icons are changing in Windows again. Because that's one of the things that's been rumored, isn't it? That there'll be a new file manager.
Yeah, I think there is on. Was it on Windows? I'm trying to remember now. Was it Windows Phone 8.1 or was it Windows 10 Mobile? There was a file manager app for the phones.
Well, there is on both. Yeah, I think I've got it on here.
Got you. Yeah, because it's not something I've really used, so I'm not familiar with it.
So they're talking about bringing a similar thing to the desktop. And I was saying last week that I slightly worry about that, because at the moment the File Explorer is probably the most fully featured file managers on any platform.
Yeah.
There's not many where you can right click in a folder and create a new folder, rename files from within the file opening dialog of an app, which is basically because it actually leverages the File Explorer. And I'd be worried if that went away, because when we had the file manager within Windows 8.1 apps, desktop Windows 8.1, it wasn't as fully featured, and it wasn't possible to do any half of that stuff.
Yes, I what I would like to see is the traditional one still there, maybe a universal one as well for lightweight sort of users. But yeah, you're right, that disappeared, because I remember doing my Flickr app, the multi-file selector was a full screen selector, whereas when you open the same app in Windows 10, you get the traditional Windows File Explorer. So yeah, hopefully we'll see that. Did you also see as well? I think there's got a universal OneDrive app on the way as well.
Yes, so that's good. I mean, it'd be good to have some consistency on that app.
Yeah, and all these universal apps make sense, don't they? Because there's a small market share for Windows Phone and Windows Mobile and Windows 10 Mobile. So bringing them as universal app means that it does give the advantage of the phone users being able to access these new apps. And talking of apps as well, the Movies and TV app was updated today.
Yes, we'll have to to an addendum to the book.
Another update to the book, yeah. So only a minor update. And I get Microsoft love to confuse us with the release notes, because before the app was updated on one of my devices, I had a look in the store, and the release notes were the new release notes, but I didn't see it as an update. So I weren't sure whether they were new release notes or just old, because Microsoft do have a habit of leaving the old release notes in there. But I believe they are new. And you've got improved transport controls. So you've got skip forward and skip back buttons. You get download time estimates for when you're downloading films and TV programs. And film and TV programs can now be deleted on each of your devices. So rather than, I think, deleted once across all of your devices. So minor changes, but nevertheless useful. And one thing I did notice, though, I don't know if this is still the case, this update hasn't been shown on any of the Redstone machines, which makes me think, and I've seen rumours that the movies app is going to get quite a bit of a bump in functionality at some point in Redstone. So maybe that's why we're not seeing that update for Redstone devices.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's possible that that's on a different development branch of the app. So yeah, I think you're probably right. Yes.
Yeah. So we're starting to see now in some app updates like Mail and things like that in one app, in the Redstone ones, and not going out to the other ones, and vice versa. Oh, talking of the Mail app, did I talk about a couple of weeks ago? I think it was on the show with just me and Gary about my 950 knots picking up the new Mail app. I might not have even mentioned it. Well, if I didn't, basically, the last couple of weeks, Microsoft have been updating the Mail app on Windows 10 Mobile and on for the Redstone builds, where you've got things like Move and a few other bits and pieces.
Oh yeah, yes, yeah.
And my 950 just wasn't picking up that update. So although it's on the Redstone release, all the other apps are up to date. The Mail app was stuck about 3 versions behind, something like that, and I could never really figure out why. And you could go in the store and search for Outlook and it would see it, but on the phone there's no way of forcing a reinstall, is there? So not like you can, there's no PowerShell or anything like that you can do really. So I just gave up really, and thought, well, at some point I'll do a reset and I'll bring it back in. But for some reason it just picked up an update this week, even though there wasn't an update. It picked up the update and it's now all fine now. So
very odd.
Yeah, I would say it's probably about 3 weeks where it had an older version than all my other devices, and then this week it just picked it up. So all working again now. Might be the Redstone release that did that, the last week's release. I think it was actually before that. So it wasn't like a new build came out and then it picked the update. It was like 3 days into having a build. So anyway, it's working all right now. So what else have we got? For Microsoft Band users, did you see you can now get a bit of Facebook competition going on with your Microsoft Band?
No.
So, on the band you can set yourself sort of, you've got all your achievements and things like your step goal for the day and calorie count and things like that. Microsoft, and this hasn't been available. They've announced it, but I haven't seen it yet. You can now have leaderboards with your Facebook friends in the Microsoft Health app. So if you were doing a run, or you can have a sort of who's run the most between your group of friends and things like that, or who's done the most workouts, or who's done the most steps, or who's got up at the most times had coffee, because that's what my band reminds me of now, to get coffee. So all that is going to be integrated in the app, which is quite good.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Yeah, stuff like that's quite good, isn't it? Social aspects of kind of keeping fit, because I know I'm not the best at motivating myself to do some proper exercise, but when it's a bit like achievements on Xbox, isn't it, trying to get the highest score?
I think that's the idea of it, isn't it? Yeah.
Sounds cool.
Like I said the week on Twitter, I found that the reminder on my band, if you're stationary for an hour, it says get up and go, you've been sat down for an hour. All I find it does now is remind me, I've not had a coffee for an hour. So I wander over to the coffee machine. So I'm not sure that was what it's meant for.
It's a bit like Windows Hello on the phone. on the 950. But what that's become is a reminder to me to clean my glasses.
So you got that better? Have you found you've got that any better now?
I have actually got it working. Once I clean my glasses.
Right.
Which actually is very true. They have to be almost spotless for it to work. But yeah, it did start working once I did that. So it's good little feature. I still find most of the time I end up using the keypad, but
yeah, I must admit I do. Apart from that bug which is still in this release, where every now and again it doesn't bring the keypad up, so the only way to get in is to use the Windows Hello. So yeah, that's one minor issue I've had with it.
Another update we had the camera update as well, didn't we? I've almost forgot about that one.
Yes, I saw that. So what's that? That's got some extra stuff around the HDR stuff, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's got the rich HDR, or what was rich capture feature, which was promised, and rich HDR, which you can switch on and off and force HDR on. You've also got the ability to pause video as well, which was in the desktop app but not on the mobile app. So I think it's been brought across. But the rich HDR is something they promised some time back. So it's good to see that's around.
Yeah. I think the camera app it's a bit like remember the Lumia camera apps as compared to the Windows Phone camera apps. The Lumia was a way better, wasn't it? And over time, they introduced those back into the Windows app, and then eventually the Lumia camera app has gone away, hasn't it?
Yeah, and it has to be said that the Windows 10 camera experience has not been as good as the Windows 8.1 camera experience up to now. I find it freezes up occasionally and things as well, but it does seem to be getting better.
It's funny, isn't it? We've got all those Lumia apps that were really the selling point. Do you remember Jason still think he should have got a Lumia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Lumia apps were always better than the built-in Windows app. So when I had that HTC 8X, that was an inferior experience. And then I got the 5020 and I found that much better. But all those nice Lumia apps have all gone away now. And they've all but yeah, the built-in apps have picked up quite a lot of the functionality, but like I said, probably not quite as good.
No, they are getting better. I have to. We're starting to get there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Now, what other stories have we got from this week? Oh, nice little update for Plex if you've got a Roku. New video player, and that's got better video playback, and they've improved it all around really on the video playback. So if you're a Plex user and you've got a Roku device, that's well worth having a look at. Roku is still my favorite third-party media player. I think really as devices, your Chromecast and Apple TV and all those things, I think Roku, if you're a Windows user, seems to be about the best one because it's the best, certainly with mirrorcasting. I've not had a lot of success with the worst experience with mirrorcast is between the Windows 10 and the Xbox One. And the best experience is with the Roku. I don't know why Microsoft would struggle to get mirrorcast working when Roku seemed to do so well. But I haven't done a lot with mirrorcast for a while. But it does work with the 950. I don't know if you've tried to try this yet, guy. Have you tried Continuum? Because you haven't got Continuum dock, have you?
No, I haven't. No, so I think Jason missed out on that conversation about the fact that offer to discontinue just before I got mine. But no, I haven't actually tried to continue because I haven't got a Roku with Continuum on here. I've got the Now TV box, which hasn't got Continuum built in.
Is it just needs mirrorcast?
Yes, so this is Miracast, yeah, not going to. But the Miracast thing is not on there. The other thing is that my Miracast dongle has stopped working, the Microsoft one.
Right.
So it did a firmware update, and it just will not connect at all now to anything, not just the phone. So that's not really helped. And then finally, I tried the Fire TV because that's got some Miracast on it, which works really well with the Android, but no, it doesn't work with the 950. So I haven't actually succeeded in that yet. I will try and get my my Miracast dongle working and have a go at it. But and I will try and get myself a Continuum dock at some point as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to be honest. The Continuum dock is an amazing experience when you try and think, "Oh, this is fantastic. It changes things," but I don't really use it. I just haven't really got that practical need for it at the moment. I think maybe if there are some more apps that would work with it, I could use it. But it's just what scenario will you currently use it? I don't use it I've got my Surface for computing needs. I've got tablets.
Yeah, I really could have done with it at the weekend. Actually, I was obviously way over Easter and with hotel room and had an HDMI port on there, so I could have got the Continuum working.
Yes, that would be good then.
And I had a technical support issue for one of my family members, and was trying to do it on splashed up on the tiny screen, and that would have been a lot easier on a bigger screen. But I can certainly see some benefits of having it available. It's just if you remember to carry the dock with you.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? And I think that's where Miracast would work. If there was a Miracast in the, on the TV in the hotel room, then it would be perfect.
Yeah, and that's apparently started to come in some American hotel rooms, so that's got an interesting concept.
It's still got still get the tube TVs in many hotel rooms over here.
You do, yes.
Yeah. Funny, I was out and about over the weekend, and I wanted to get onto our iSeries box, and I used Mocha Telnet on Windows from the Windows Store on my Lumia 950, and got telnetted straight onto the box through the VPNs and everything. And actually, that is a good thing about having a nice large phone. And you could use I could use full telnet on here, and I was onto the iSeries box and getting on the server and doing what I needed to do, and then just disconnected. So it's
VPN stuff works really well. The VNC stuff works really well as well, and things like that. So there's a whole lot of really good products out there, the remote desktop and things which are going to make remote working better. I mean, it'd be nice if Slashdot was a full blown app, because they have got a Windows app, so it'd be nice if a Windows 8 app. So it'd be nice if they could just port that over to UWP and
make full screen.
Make a small screen.
So you can use Continuum.
Yeah, because the mobile experience isn't as good as the desktop experience at the moment.
What else have we got? Kodi manual update for Kodi 16.1 release candidate 2 fixes some DirectX issues. And I think that was all the app news I had this week. Anything else, Jason? Why you feel you've missed while you've been away?
No, I don't think so. Obviously, looking forward to the Build conference happening this week. Hopefully, we might get another build out of Build. But yeah, no, it's. I think, as you said, it's been relatively quiet. Although the builds are still, coming fast and frequent.
Actually, I tell you what, we haven't talked to you about, because me and Gary discussed it last week and the week before, is the Windows 10 rollout for Windows 10 mobile rollout. Which it's rolled out, but does anybody know about it yet? I mean, it's been a couple of weeks now, and Gary and I talked about the small set of devices or the subset of devices available, but even for the devices that you can get it on, it's not immediately obvious if you've got one of those devices and you're not in the know with reading tech blogs.
Yeah, I mean the carriers are still involved, aren't they, with the rollout? I mean, in some ways it was an anticlimax for me because I already had it on my 930, but my son's got a 650, and I said to him, Windows 10 mobile is available now. Would you like me to see if we can get it on your phone? He's like, yeah, I really want to give it a go. He said, and there was a few features from my phone he kind of picked out and said, does that mean mine will be able to do this, that? So I got him all built up and excited. And what I'd forgotten was his 650 was supplied by EE.
Right.
So I used the I can't remember what it's called now, but the upgrade advisor, and it basically said no, not at this time, come back later, sort of thing. So that evening I actually put the Windows Insider app on and joined the production build preview, and actually did it that way, and that went really smoothly. It's worked absolutely fine. He hasn't mentioned any problems. But yeah, so it's disappointing. It's kind of released but not released. We're at the hands of the carriers, unless you've got a unless you were lucky enough to have an kind of unlocked and branded device.
You say that, actually, because one of my sons has got a 550 which has Windows 10 mobile on it already. The other's got a 635, and I was going to put it on his, and I was going to say stick the upgrade advisor on, but that's on EE, so EE haven't released it yet then.
No, not that I've seen. I mean, like I say, I kind of used the back door to get it on, and I suspect probably most Windows Phone devices have done similar things. So, I mean, I think it was a brave decision for Microsoft to say, look, actually, we don't think look, these devices aren't going to be upgraded because they're just not meeting our quality bar. But I also thought it was very clever to say, actually, to use telemetry from Windows Insider, say, look, we asked you do you think this build is worthwhile? And I'm sure that question was answered in all honesty and trying to give genuine feedback to improve the product. And I'm sure many people did say, no, actually it's really slow and really clunky on my device. And quite rightly, Microsoft has used that information to say, look, you guys said it's not ready. And I'm sure those people do feel a bit cheated because they thought they were being honest and expecting that Microsoft would fix it. But so I think it's a tough one, but at the same time, if you really want it, stick the Windows Insider program application on and force it onto your phone.
Yeah.
Yes, it's going to be unsupported, but your device is now at a point where it's not going to be supported anyway. I can't imagine there's going to be any more Windows Phone 8.1 updates, and so yes, it does mean you probably won't get the monthly patches and fixes that come through. But if you feel that Microsoft have made a bad decision, that it is perfectly fine, then put it on.
Yeah, and of course, if you're on the preview ring, you will get updates, won't you? As I think, as new builds come out that they push to the release preview, you'll get them anyway, won't you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a shame, really. It's like Joe Belfiore once said, let's shut up and ship. And I think they did make this big bold announcement that all Windows Phone 8 devices were going to receive it, and obviously that's unfortunately not the case. You could argue that they also did say at the same time that their plan was to support phones for 18 months after release, which is something similar that Android pledged to do. And I think probably in most cases they've kept to that. I think unfortunately there have been some recent devices that have launched that aren't going to get the update. But we can't have it both ways, really. You have to accept that we are a small minority of people that use Windows Phone devices. So actually, overall, what volume of phones are actually being cut off for the upgrade?
Yeah. We Gary was sort of saying, I know my dad's got a Lumia. I don't know which one it is, but even if it was eligible and his carrier had released it, he wouldn't know about the update anyway. And he would never install the Upgrade Advisor app.
Yes, yeah. Although eventually that will be pushed out, won't it? Eventually it will be installed regardless of that app. But I think really, whether or not we like it or not, this is another case really of Microsoft starting over. Windows 10 Mobile on any future device that do arrive should be supported and updated for time to come. Whether or not they'll then get to a point where Redstone 2 or whatever subsequent release after that isn't compatible, I think that's inevitable. It's disappointing really, because with the slowdown and with the kind of with the kind of retrenching, there haven't been that many phones launching, so it's not like people are being upgraded naturally every 2 years, which quite a lot of people do tend to do with phones. So yeah, I think it's disappointing, but I think it's like most things, it's definitely a situation where Microsoft are damned if they do, damned if they don't. And I think it was a brave decision to take. And if the experience, one of the things with Windows Phone has always been that the experience is buttery smooth across all devices, and if that's not the case, then I think they're right to do so. Because there are consumers out there. My mum's got a Lumia 1020. If she got the Windows Phone, Windows 10 Mobile upgrade on that, and it was a poor quality, it would be a real problem for her.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what me and Gary were saying.
Yeah.
They wouldn't say, oh, well, I didn't really, I was hoping to get Windows 10 Mobile, but I wasn't sure they get it. They just think this phone's not working, and they go and get take it to a store or whatever, and there they'll just get an Android phone, because it's unlikely that a store would then push another Windows phone. No.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're pretty much saying what me and Gary were saying as well. But we'll just see what Microsoft come up with this week at Build. So, like I said, the keynote's Wednesday, so that'll be after the show comes out, or the morning. The show comes out the morning after, and we'll talk about those things next week, and we might even get a new build. I guess I don't know. They possibly could have a new build with these new features in. I think last year they didn't push out a build showing the new features, did they? I think they kept that one back for a bit. I seem to remember.
I'm trying to think. It came out quite shortly after, didn't it? I mean, that was back in the days when we were waiting weeks and months between builds, and I think they did push out. That was one of the very first, wasn't it? Insiders.
Yeah. So maybe we'll see these live tiles, interactive live tiles, and cards and all that, and we'll see those.
Yeah. Actually, to be honest, what they normally do is they normally push out a build and go, actually, this won't include some of the features that we've been
that's
showing.
what I was thinking they'll do.
Yeah.
I think that's what they did last year. That's what,
I think you're right. Yes.
So I think they'll do that. So you never know. We might get a build, and we could talk about that next week. But we should probably get a new build anyway, judging by the way they've been releasing weekly builds. Sometimes on a Thursday, sometimes on a Friday, just to catch us out.
Yeah, they just like to mess around.
Yeah, I do remember him saying that they weren't going to release builds on Fridays, and I think we've had 3 in a row or something.
Yeah. So this week we'll have a build.
Yes, build. And this will be a magic number. So the build, if you remember this number for the quiz at the end of the year.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Jason, where can we follow you then?
You can find me on Twitter at Database Chase.
And Gary, where are you and what's on Fascinating Tech?
Right, I'm at Gary WMA on Twitter. That's Gary 2 R's, and obviously at fascinatingtech.com. And we are putting together the next issue at the moment, although we're slightly delayed because one of our contributors is ill at the moment, so we will be getting it all together. We've got some really good articles. I've mentioned a few of my home automation projects. It's been going well. They had my pseudo Amazon dash button. That went down a treat at the IoT meeting I went to last week. One very interesting project I'm currently involved in, and I'll put a plea out for any assistance on this, is I'm leading the app development for a really interesting project with the BBC Microbit, which is basically the idea of doing satellite experimentation with the Microbit and a satellite board alongside it. And this is what we're doing is putting together an app in Xamarin for mission control, and it's going to be talking over BLE. And I know a few developers listen to this podcast, so if anybody wants to get into touch with me and wants to try and help on doing that, could do some BLA experts, that'd be really useful.
So do you want to get in touch on Twitter?
Yeah, just hit me up on Twitter, or you can email me, Gary at appxib.com. That's the company name.
Excellent. Oh, well, good luck with that. And if anybody wants to get in touch, they can, and then we can find out how you get on with that.
Yeah, it's a really interesting project to be with. I'm very pleased to have got involved in it.
Excellent stuff. Right, so we should be back next Tuesday evening, 9 p.m. UK time. Now in British summertime, although it was snowing on my way to work this morning, so I'm not quite sure how that's right.
Blimey.
Yeah, it was proper snow on the hills, so on the motorway. So we'll be back 9 p.m. with all the news from Build, and you can follow me at iSticks on Twitter in the meantime. And so until next week, we'll see you then.
Take care.